So this is actually a text that I found out somebody was familiar with this person's work from, I think, psychology, but this is a much better work, and it's actually cited mostly by me, I found, but it's cited in this thing, Briffault's Law. You could look up this guy's last name, Robert Briffault, The Mothers. This is a book that you mostly are going to find digitally. You're not going to, it's hard to come by something like a hard copy like this, and I made sure to mark it up and do all my marginalia on it and such like. The reason why I find this very important is now this idea of the Ho phase and stuff, which it's not like something new, but it's really something that now seeing that there's sort of a category of videos on TikTok, which I'm not on, about the Ho phase. There's something that's been completely misunderstood about the sexual liberation movement, and only recently a lot of the kind of new right has gotten into this in a way quite exactingly, to the point where sometimes it just throws people off, or the details are just too much to handle. But they don't really, the thing I think is very important is to have a work like this so people understand, no. Once the socialist author was quite open about, well, humans didn't have really monogamous marriage. Marriage was actually sort of this, like a labor deal. And so fornicating would have been normal. So there's this idea that's misunderstood about the Christian tradition then. I mean, Christianity was very hard to sell to much of the world because you could only have one wife. See, in most of the species, which we know through actual genetic science now, the vast majority of men just simply didn't get a shot at reproduction whatsoever. There might be a period during the youth where there was sexual stuff going on between like young people, but Briffault really gets into that at a certain stage, once like a young lady was being courted so that she could bear children, so that, and this was to increase the number in a clan group, and there's customarily who owned the children, because it was all labor. Nothing, I mean, you needed every pair of healthy hands and strong backs. Humans we were literally just animals that group in things we call families and tribes and clans and such like that. So we only really categorize these things as you start getting cities, and I mean like the Bronze Age and the collapse of all that, and then when we kind of come back from that collapse, you know, and Rome and such. No, I mean, he really actually has to reference China and lots of parts of Africa to really give the Westerner really the Eurosphere Westerner an understanding of like, no, but most of the species operated, and it still to this day operates this way. And then he had to make this understood. You're still seeing humans operate this way. How are they just putting different words on it so that they're still having one man fertilize a whole bunch of women, and then other men help raise that man's children like any animal would do? because that's the way actually genetics works, and the clustering of strong genetics that are chosen for. So, was the guy good looking? That's chosen for. It took generations to make that. Tall, muscular, athletic. Oh, you're starting to get into smaller and smaller percentages of the population. Once you start getting to about 5'8" and above, once you start, now you're talking about very small numbers of any birth group, any gene pool, anywhere on the planet outside of, I think, Scandinavia or something like that, or some of the northern reaches, like really Nord types of Britain. Where we have massive amounts of mitochondrial DNA evidence, and vast majority of women reproduce in a generation. If they survive to that age, the vast majority of them will have kids and fundamentally be taken care of. And it's because it's not about the sisterhood. It's not about these people who can't make comics, who can't make movies, who are on some can't shit all the time, talking about how much power they have. Because, you see, they think they have sexual liberation. Really what this is it's just something ancient wrapped in a bunch of bullshit. It's just temple whores that are putting on shows for everybody, dancing around. Look, we're the sirens. Now we're doing this dance that's the mystical such and such dance and stuff. And well, no, and so then men pay the temple a certain amount of money for the company of one of these women. No, she has a dowry. She has, could bring this a person who is able to travel to a temple and pay for her time in silver. So, and this idea of, oh no, the purity, no, you don't understand. It's come on now. Really? We're going to wrap it in some kind of high mysticism? Oh no, they were super brain and the purity of the virgins, the Vestals, and it's, oh, please stop it. No, they were whores. They were temple whores, and they got paid. They got paid by people who came in from the sea, who had money, and if you really scored, you got a lot of money. And it was hard money. It was real money if you got knocked up. But remember, they had abortives existed. There's this fantasy world that feminists live in. That it's like, no, abortive herbs and stuff like that. This is actually one of the most widely known things about herbs. Is don't take these if the contraindications if you're pregnant. That's what we call them now. Contraindications if you're pregnant. Even in acupressure and acupuncture, there are points contraindicated during pregnancy. So you would have probably those points pressed on too. So, society was built around the mothers, those who reproduced, and if they were smart, they reproduced with people who gave them strong sons. And their strong sons would then move out, like Jacob would move out to another clan and join into that clan, which basically bound you to somebody else. Now you had a relationship. You both had to have a relationship because there was a bride price. This is widely discussed in his book. This was very normal. The idea of the dowry, you have to come with something, you got to have things. It's nature. It is natural to humans that the man has shit that he could provide, and her family then says, look, this is a successful man. I'm willing to give you my daughter because she's my property. That's how it really is. Stripped down, that just field strip the whole goddamn thing, and that's how it works. That's what makes the bullets fly. And so a lot of the hoe phase is just you wanting to be a part of a harem. It's this harem breeding. And your and it's totally, I mean, you welcome being a part of a harem. As long as all the women in the harem get along well. It's what's the problem? That's the thing. Is, I mean, if you ever read anything about harems, you'll end up finding out no, women have always been women. They would poison each other. They would do all kinds of machinations, do things so that one girl didn't get seen or some woman didn't get seen anymore. Had to do, concubines and such. And do all kinds of stuff. They always had to machinate. Because their families were being quite enriched. And getting banged by some very wealthy dude. He was probably one of the only wealthy people around. Because, I mean, it was back in the day, so there wasn't that much wealth. Now, people could just look wealthy. They could just have stuff. They could be on credit. They could look rich. Get banged for a sandwich. For dinner. Be one of his hoes. For dinner. Sorry. Oh, the hoe phase is deep and real. And it's very... society. Very complicated. So... the key about this is, so Christianity, yes, one man, one woman, you have to stay together, it's a deal between you two and the creator of time and space, who exists in one moment, in eternity, outside of what we can conceive of as time and space. It is the thing that binds you to eternity. It is a deal that will always matter. And in a way, that's very fantasy world. That's the point of the Christian religion. It's the entire point. You have to be a fantasy hero. You have to be superhuman to pull it off. Because that's very difficult. You're always trying to achieve a goal. You're always trying to find a deeper form of love. You're always trying to understand. At some point I'm going to have to just get over resenting this about this man, or resenting that about that woman, or the way she or he does this, or I hate that she loves this music group, or, I hate that he always has to play this kind of movie or that kind of TV show, or he plays video games. You just have to get over it. And really, what we know about data-wise is everybody does. At some point they realize, no, and I unexpectedly got ill, to know he or she was there for me. What would I have done without them? When times were really hard, what would I have done without him? What would I have done without her? And people they expect something from marriage that they don't really get. It's like, no, at some point it's not really... At some point it's somebody who it's like, no, I know what they like. I know who this person is. Because really, the dark side of things, you will have a supernova of pleasure, and then after that, a black hole of a feeling in yourself. How does it feel to just have it, and it blows away? No return phone calls, no return texts. Guess it's over. It seemed to mean something at the time. Oh, I know about stuff like that. It feels so good to be on the prowl. It's boring. Boring to be good. But eventually we all get old. And then suddenly this deal with the dark side doesn't work anymore. Because you feel feelings that you never felt before, because now you have experience and you see the emptiness of a life with no one who knows what you like. No one cares. Because most men don't reproduce, the beauty of the Christian religion is that it provides men this tremendous amount of labor to do. Ora et labora. So you're given a path. For women, the same is given, but it's much more difficult. Even the Buddhists, there's many more rules for the bhikshuni than there are for the bhiksu. So it is the Ho phase is a thing that came out of sexual liberation, thinking that you are going to get something that is called a feeling of power or empowerment. This idea comes directly, or well, indirectly, but to some degree, philosophically, there is a way that you could find people talking about this. It goes from theology and philosophy, that eventually where the type of philosophical milieu, the school of this type of mystical Marxist thinking that becomes feminism and becomes this empowerment talk that women like so much, is literally comes out of magic. It comes out of magic. It comes out of Neoplatonism and magic and like, but it's nothing more than that. See, the idea is that there's something else that is above that comes from ora et labora, or the term is, what was it? Marry young, sin at leisure. With the idea being that, well, yeah, I'll just let, you can look it up. Which also tells you a lot about the Christian. It'll tell you a lot about Christianity and the Christian world, really. People are still people. You're trying harder. But yeah, I just want to put that out there. That the Ho phase is just, it's a natural devolving of our society into a pre-Christian savagery, which is normal to the world. And that monogamous marriage and lifelong monogamous marriage is actually an oddity of Christian populations, and wasn't really commonplace. And to the point where, I mean, this is pretty well documented, but the Mothers really documents it. I mean, and really gets into things all the way down to, you know, why are there cultures that they have some observance for animals? I mean, all kinds of fascinating things. Taboos, magic, and I think for a lot of women it would make them. This is the beauty of it, is you really couldn't be a feminist anymore in the same way as we think of it now, because you would really get like, oh my gosh, like me being a single bitch, I have literally played myself into a position that I evolutionarily have no power in society whatsoever, in a way. Like, I have to constantly latch myself on to some kind of power group of some sort. And you know, and it has to be kind of like women in a political arena of some way, you know, a party politics or 30-30 club, or you know, whatever it is, some the knitting group or something. But it's so that you could have some form of power over your life in some way, shape, or form. And what you're, yeah, and where the way of men has its own books that are written about. Yeah, so I just thought I'd put that out there because I think it's kind of funny now that I keep seeing all this stuff about women are getting played. I mean, the feminists have played you, Marxists have played you, the sexual liberationists played you. You're played. You've gotten totally bamboozled by it. And it all comes down to, okay, well, let me look at outcomes. I would like these things, and if any of these include children, you look at the outcomes, and you're like, do I want to have children but be totally broke and dependent upon welfare? You know, and then the other is, do I want children and end up by the time I will be able to retire and in a home that I own? Then that means you're going to have to get married, stay with him, because it just doesn't. There's not really another way mathematically it works. So, what do you want? I mean, it really is. What do you want? How bad do you know? Because the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. Oh, poverty, living alone, being alone. And then that's the other thing. Women don't understand. Nobody admits to you what it's like to be a 45-year-old woman. How many 45-year-old normal-ass women are out there like admitting to you, no, it sucks. It physically hurts to work. Like, I would rather be doing everything else, but no. Yeah. So, yeah, because we don't esteem the mothers. That's then the next part about this. We don't really hold good mothers in esteem. Their kids, the boys become men, and those men have honor and fortitude and uprightness, and they're good, and they have gentleness, and they have decisiveness and judgment, and you know, they raise their daughters such that their daughters are pleasant and adroit of tongue, and they have a firm basis in knowledge, and are also very then understanding of what is wisdom and what is foolishness, and have a wariness of that which they should, and just you look. Who are these people? Who are these people who have succeeded in having good, solid families? And who are the people that their kid jacked you? That they're like, my baby didn't do nothing wrong. You know, I mean, you know, oh look, oh no, this is my son. He got hired after going to this really expensive college. He got hired at this place, and he's making sure that Donald Trump can't tweet. He dresses like a woman. But he's still my son. What do you want?